All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad you all can make it. We didn't let the rain stop us this morning, so glad to see you all. Welcome to October's District 1 breakfast. We don't have everyone here just yet, so we'll be jumping around on this agenda. I wanted to introduce to you all a few people today, this morning. We will start off, since he's not in here, with Ms. Angela Johnson. So the City Council, a few months ago, approved $100,000 towards a Fuse Fellows. So Fuse is an organization that provides folks who have a great deal of experience in whatever the city is looking for around this country. Folks who are mid-career or retired, who are looking for another challenge in life. And our challenge here in Wichita was opportunity zones, and specifically our neighborhood opportunity zones. Wichita is semi-unique, and around the country, not everyone's whole downtown is an opportunity zone, but Wichita, our entire downtown is an opportunity zone. And as you all know, our downtown area is thriving, so we don't need to do a whole lot to make that happen. Investments are happening every day. We've approved several new projects that are coming in downtown. So downtown is doing wonderful, but these opportunity zones were really designed to impact our neighborhoods, specifically where you see a need for affordable housing or a lack of small business and real small business, not folks who make hundreds of millions of dollars a year but only have maybe 20 people working. I'm talking mom and pop shop type businesses that hire from the community and empower our country. That's what opportunity zones were really designed for, and we have Angela to help us out. So, did you want to say anything, or?
Hello, I'm Angela Johnson, and Councilman Johnson, you captured exactly what it is that I'm going to be doing. So I am new to Wichita, but I'm not new to the Midwest. I came from the great state of Ohio, but I am excited to be here, looking forward to working with all of you.
Now I gotta pause you and ask you to go up there, because that's where the Facebook viewers will see. Will you turn your volume up? Yeah, you gotta go
I did not
straight.
realize.
Sorry, you're live on Facebook, welcome.
You said turn it up.
Yeah, it's a little higher so they can hear.
So you get to hear the spiel again. But good morning, my name is Angela Johnson, and as Councilman Johnson stated, I am here to help support the work moving forward and bringing investment into the neighborhoods here in Wichita. As I was sharing, I am not originally from Wichita, I am from the great state of Ohio, I am a Midwesterner as well, but I am really excited to be here, look forward to continuing to work with all of you and moving forward what it is that you all deserve. Yes.
How do we reach you?
So I haven't even been here a week yet, so I'm still getting together all of the important details, but Councilman Johnson will have that information available and can share that when it's available. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So you all are the first to meet Angeline at a breakfast, so we wanted to make sure she came to District 1 first. But her email just got up and running a couple days ago. She'll have her cards and everything, and I'll make sure anyone who wants it has that information here going forward. So we'll jump back to the beginning of our agenda and welcome our fire department to come up and give a few updates.
Good morning, sorry for our tardiness. So October is a very busy month for the fire department. October is Fire Prevention Month, specifically next week is Fire Prevention Week. So there's a couple activities we need to let everybody know about. First of all, my name is Michael Holscher. I'm the lieutenant up at Station 10 at 21st and Chautauqua. Big one is there are going to be some smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors available to the public a couple days next week. We will be going out based on our alarm load, and fire prevention will be going out. The phone number that you need for that is 268-4441. There is limited supply. I believe there is a little bit of paperwork, a little questionnaire to fill out. Be be patient with us if we don't get them all installed next week. Just depends on alarm load, but if we have you, it should be taken care of. Any questions can be further answered at that phone number. Again, that phone number is 268-4441. The other thing to mention is on Saturday, October 12th. This is for all stations. Citizens are encouraged to visit their neighborhood firehouse and see the new POW boxes. POW boxes are what we refer to as it's a big toolbox. We have an activity for like a kid to practice going low, crawling under things, making decisions, that type of activity. So it's kind of a kid-based thing. We're gonna be going to the zoo. My crew is happy about that. It's always a lot of fun. All fifth graders throughout the city go to the zoo that day. We show them everything, show them all the hazmat equipment. And then on Wednesday is the YMCA. We will not participate in our fire department. A couple other things to talk about. It is getting cooler. We want to remind everybody, if you have a friend, family, you yourself have a floor furnace, make sure that it is cleared at this time. We want it to be cleared throughout the year, but the problem we run into is initially in the winter is people forget about them. They turn on the floor furnace, they melt the igloo cooler, and so the floor furnace, their house catches on fire. Happens every year. So just a reminder of that. Also, pay attention to smoke detectors and CO alarms, especially when you first start up your furnaces. Carbon monoxide, silent killer. You can't smell it, you won't notice that. And then finally, for District 1, we just got the September statistics. 61 fires in the district, 565 medical alarms, for a total of 639 incidents. So, fairly busy for September, fairly busy. But October will be busier, and November will be busier still. So, just the time of year. Any questions that I can answer? All right, see you guys convention week. Oh, Halloween, one more thing. We're not gonna see you guys again until Halloween. Make sure everybody takes special attention and watch out for kids. Those type of incidents, we want to try to avoid those. We have lots of kids in our neighborhoods. And so, just a heads up. Anything for you, sir?
Nope. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, one more introduction for you all. So you know that McAdams is a wonderful park here in District 1, and we saw Mr. Dennis retire after, 42 years? Something like that. So long time been with Park and Rec, and those are some big shoes to fill, but we have hired a new McAdams Park director, so I'm gonna welcome up the new director, Mr. Corey. Just introduce yourself, a little bit about you and your vision for McAdams.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Lyons. I went to school at Wichita State University and got my bachelor's degree there in sports management. I've been working with the park department for about 4.5 years. It'll be 5 in December. I started off as an intern and moved my way up. Larry's shoes are really big and filled. He did a lot of great things throughout the years he was there, and I want to continue to, have his dream, keep that going, and also add new classes, new activities, and also get the input from the community. So if you guys have any questions or any concerns or anything, I'll start at McAdams Mondays. If you guys want to come down there and talk to me, I'll be there from 8:30 to 5. So if you guys need anything, I'll be there. Thank you, guys.
All right. Last time I saw Mr. Dennis, he was over at McAdams, and he went out to open the door, but he doesn't have keys anymore. So he sat back down, so you're gonna have fun, Corey. One more thing this morning, and then I have a bunch of updates, and I'm sure there's lots of questions out there. So as you all know about the Riverfront Legacy, there's various groups involved with that, the legacy plan. W is one of them, Young Professionals of Wichita formerly, but young people are involved in that, and there's some members from W here today that want to give you a little bit of a conversation about that. And did we bring those pictures? Okay, and then there's an opportunity to kind of look at the site plan, and see maybe what you all wanna do. And you'll be able to draw on that and talk about your ideas, whether it's keeping the Century Two facility or not. You'll have an opportunity to provide some feedback. And again, it's a W function, so they will take all the information they gathered today back to the Riverfront Legacy Group that I represent the city of Wichita on, as well as Daryl Kelly. But want to welcome up Daryl, and you bringing your brother up too, or just Daryl Kelly? I mean, you both can come up.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's try this again. Good morning, everyone.
Good
morning.
morning.
It's a
Can you use the
beautiful,
mic?
yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
You can take it off.
Okay.
Lift
Yeah,
the
we're
mic
good.
off. You
We'll
can
leave
lift the
it.
mic up.
We'll leave it, we'll leave it. Well, I am Daryl Kelly. I am here today, representing the Riverfront Legacy, Master Plan Coalition. I'm a representative from W Young Professionals of Wichita. So it is a privilege and an honor to be here, today with you. Thanks for braving the weather and the conditions to come out. This is important work. So, the Riverfront is an integral part of our community. It's everybody's river. The Arkansas River is everybody's river, from north, south, east, west, and all the surrounding regions. So we want to find out a way that we can make sure that that's a destination place, and that's an economic hub, that it's a green space, that it's a space that's welcoming for our community as a whole. So it's very important work. We're excited to be the catalyst to kind of get the process started. But the most important thing that we need is why I'm here today. So I need your help. I need your input. I need your feedback. I need your evaluation on what's going down in our downtown urban core, what's going downtown on our riverfront. So we, the group formed to get that process started. What is the actual plan? Technically, we're trying to create a comprehensive master plan and vision for the future development of the east bank of the Arkansas River, with a focus on areas south of Douglas to Kellogg and east to Main Street. This will connect projects on both sides of the river, so there's some development going on the west bank with the baseball stadium and the developers there, and then try to make that cohesive unit with the east bank. So it's a humongous task, but we've hired some really great organizations to help us out with that endeavor. And so it's a public-private partnership, and that is really important. And so the engagement piece, I would say, is monumental. So we have to be engaged in this process. So I appreciate Councilman Johnson for allowing me to come speak to this wonderful group today to get your input, get your feedback. It is important. So I will just give you a couple of touch points where we can continue to be involved in this process, and then take any questions, and then we'll be passing around feedback sheets that you can fill out and then have more information on it. So this card, and I'll make sure everyone gets one before they leave, has all the social media sites, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, the website where you can go in, put input, you can make it as long as you want. I'll make sure you have my business card. If you need to send me an email to talk to figure out something, we can do that as well. So the next big date is October the 17th, and that is going to be a feedback session, basically where the designer, which is Populous, will be back in town at Century 2, and they are going to basically provide information on the findings from the past studies that have been reviewed, and then as well as give a market-based assessment. So what we're trying to do with the area is make sure that it's mixed development, make sure that you have green space, you have art, we're supporting our local folks, you also have businesses, you also have places bring your family, and enjoy, and it's all hopefully gonna be walkable, it's all gonna hopefully be connected where it takes you on a journey from a business to a destination place where your family can have a picnic or go see a show at an amphitheater. So it has to be a comprehensive, deal where we want everyone to be there. So October 17th is a very important date, and I would encourage you to make it to Century 2 on that day if you can. Like I said, the card that I'll make sure everybody has all the social media information and the website for you to go in and put your ideas and comments. What do you think is wrong? What do you think needs to happen? What do you want to see? What do you think is wrong? What needs to happen? What do you want to see? And we'll make sure that information gets to the right people. So I'll take any questions, comments, concerns. I'm not about to sit up here and lie to y'all like I know everything, because I don't, but I will get the answer for you if I don't have it. Yes, sir.
How do you address the issue of, because I think sometimes we function on the assumption that everyone has internet and that kind of thing. So how do we get feedback from those persons who don't have the ability to go online?
Is that big tweeters in there?
Yeah, no, very awesome question. Thank you so much for that. So that's kind of the purpose why Councilman Johnson asked me to come out today. What we're trying to do is go out to in communities and engage with the public in forums like this. So the information that was passed out, you can write your comments, suggestion on those. We'll get them collected. Camilla can, you can just drop them off at the front desk. We'll get that information to me, and I'll give it directly to the designers and design team. So awesome question. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What time is your meeting on October the 17th?
I don't have the exact time for the meeting yet. I know we have the location, but I don't have the exact time. So we'll get that information passed back. Yes, ma'am. I think we had another question. Yes, ma'am.
I was just on the time.
Okay, copy. Yes, ma'am.
Does this, total plan include what will happen to the old library?
So right now, we don't know what's gonna happen with anything, with Century 2, with the old library, any of the space. What we've requested from the design team and partners is a comprehensive plan that has multiple solutions. And so those solutions are gonna come back to the public. I guess first final draft of the presentation will be in November, and so we'll get the options. And basically, based off of that, we're gonna have to collectively say, nah, that doesn't look right, that's not what we really kind of envision. And so we don't, I couldn't tell you what building is gonna be there, what's not gonna be there right now. We'll wait till we get some information based off of the market studies that they're doing, based off of what they see going around the country and the world, because this is a global organization that's helping us to see what programmatically is gonna work for us. We're not Tulsa, we're not Boise, we're not Chattanooga, and so what works for Wichita? So they have to specifically make it tailored to us. So we're gaining that feedback. But I would say the most important thing, and I'm like gonna deputize you guys right now. The most important thing is you guys are here, which is great, but I need you to go talk to your families, go talk to your coworkers, your friends, your neighbors, and make sure that they get engaged in this process as well.
Does the city of, San Antonio come up in your conversations?
So we actually just had a city-to-city tour with San Antonio, and I know a lot of representatives from the city were out there and having discussions with them about different things. So did you have a comment? Or?
Yes, part of the resistance to how the planning has gone for downtown is that it seems to have zeroed in on Century 2 and probably the public library. And when we begin to look at that, and we look at why people come to Wichita, one of the intriguing things about almost any what's been there longer than 50 years. We know that the Century 2 has been there longer than 50 years, which doesn't represent its name of Century, which would be 100. But whenever you can choose something that represents what people are interested in and they're coming to see, even though some people sort of call us a cow town and that we don't have long roots and that we've got to be in this whole massive change idea, I would hope that you would consider Century 2 to be one of those buildings that people from everywhere come to see because of its uniqueness, because of where it is located, the geography of it, as well as the way that the city went about to get that building built has a history that's intriguing also. So my put in it is that you don't touch Century 2. You may have to change how it's used because there are things that are housed there that may want different sorts of spaces. But I think Century 2 represents a space that intrigues people all over the world.
Awesome, awesome comments, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns, gripes, we take them on. Yes, sir.
So what's your timeline for gathering this input?
So the ultimate goal is to have a final plan to present to city council and county commission, in January. Yes, sir. January 2020.
Right.
And, last comment, cause I know we're probably.
Yeah, you're fine.
running up on time.
You're fine.
But I do wanna say, this is a comprehensive plan, right? So it's not just about Century 2, it's not just about the old library, it's about making sure that space is what we want it to be. And I think that's, really important to notice, there's no kind of one magic, item that's gonna make it all work. So we have to think about it as we're thinking about our whole downtown urban core. We have to think about it with what's going on the West Bank, and it all has to jive, it all has to make sense. We don't want to duplicate efforts, we don't want to be, missing things, and we wanna make sure it's something that everyone feels that they are part of it. And I think that's the most important thing. So we're going out, if you have a group that, your church group, your youth group, your, office group, that wants to find out more and you feel that they haven't been represented in this process, please let us know, reach out, send a team out there. Yes, ma'am.
Thinking of San Antonio, the activities on the river that are year-long, what kind of ideas are you getting for that?
We've gotten a lot of ideas, I mean, from everything from amphitheaters to,
On the river
Correct.
itself?
on the river itself.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's an important part. We have this huge, amazing natural asset, that we might be underutilizing. And so connecting people to the river, who's been to Riverfest? And so you go to Riverfest sometimes and you don't even know that you're on the river, right? And so it's about the connection to this asset that we have, that everybody feels a part of, we see it, and we want to be engaged with it. And so this is an opportunity for us to be more connected with that. And so we're excited about the possibilities, but I'm gonna just be honest with you, those input and ideas are coming from you. And so that's the importance of the community engagement there. Like I said, I can't sit up here and tell you what's gonna be there, what's not gonna be there, but I need your ideas. I need you to be involved in this process. We have a once in a kind of generational type, time period we're programming or potentially programming our, riverfront for generations to come. So we're talking about people that aren't even born yet. This is gonna affect them. And so I think it's a pivotal time, it's an important time, and we need everyone's voices to be involved. Yes, sir.
In addition to the park space and public space, are there major requirements that have to be in this plan, such as a convention center to modern statistics, performance center, so that music theater moves out of Century 2? Are those in the plan requirements?
So I'm gonna answer that question like this. There is nothing that's off the table right now, but I would say for large, buildings, potentially buildings like a performing arts center or a convention center, the space is there. And I think it would be great. Councilman Johnson, we've seen, plans of what, from the 20s, that they wanted or envisioned that space to be kind of a central hub, kind of a civic center. And I think that's what we want for our core, to bring people from east, west, north, south to that area. So I don't, without seeing the first iteration of the plans, I don't know what's been programmed in or programmed out, but that's the importance of continuing to be engaged and have questions like that, for sure. So I appreciate that, thank you. Yes, sir.
Have you, or anyone engaged with the African American Museum, about being included in this river thing?
Copy that. There have been multiple, tours that have gone out. Specifically, I'm not sure about TCAM, I can find that out.
Okay.
But if you are a part of TCAM or know something, please request us to, come out and speak, for sure. We want to talk to everyone. This is not an exclusive process, this is an inclusive process, so we want to get as many, thoughts, perspectives, as much feedback as we can, because this is an important decision, for sure. Yes, sir.
Kind of piggyback what he was saying here, you know, I heard discussion years ago of a proposal here about bringing a portion of a casino entertainment. And is that off the table?
I'm gonna defer to.
Yes,
Councilman
state
Johnson.
legislature has not allowed that, and they likely will not. So there will be no casino there unless the legislature changes the law, because there's a penalty of around $100 million that would have to be paid to Kansas Star because of an agreement our legislature made.
All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanna know, are you going around speaking to, any of the, like, the universities? Is there a more younger crowd that would, you know, kind of, would make them, I guess, you know, have better ideas or something?
Oh, yes, ma'am, for sure.
Going around to the universities?
Yes, so we were at WSU, last week. I've been talking to the school districts 259. I mean, people, you know, for some reason don't think that our young people have something to say or should be engaged in the conversation. But I would say that's the exact, target group that we're looking for, to make sure that they stay here in Kansas, in Wichita. And so this, at the backbone, at the core for me, is talent retention and acquisition. And so we have to keep our smart, intelligent young people here. And so in order to do that, you have to talk to them and find out what will make them stay here. And so that's the key to.
Yes, it is the
Yes,
key.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Great question. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Like I said, I will leave my card. If anybody thinks of something once they leave, just email me. If I don't know the answer, I will get it to you. So thank you so much for your time today. Please continue to be involved in the process. It is important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daryl. And again, just piggybacking on everything he said, just to highlight, this is an entire campus plan. So although Century 2 was kind of the genesis of this with the community, the recommendation from that committee was that we needed a new performing arts center. They stayed away from tearing down Century 2 or keeping it up. And we know that we need a new convention space. But this plan is about the entire East Bank area between Douglas and Kellogg and from the river to Maine at this point. And even, I think we should be thinking further north as well down the river. So it's an entire campus plan, nothing's off the table. At this point, we wanna make sure we get as much feedback as possible. And a lot of that is gonna be upon coming to meetings like this, but also, as Daryl said, you all helping us out and reaching out to other people for feedback, because we wanna make sure all voices are heard. And we've been very specific about making sure that we get in and talk to not just our college students and high school students, but our elementary school students, because ultimately this decision impacts them for generations to come. So that is that. Those meetings meetings are open to the public. So if you wanna go to those, definitely, we'd love to see you there. So for my updates today, I think I did everything I said I would, yeah. So for my updates today, happy to answer questions when I get done. We'll try to get through all of these. I think I made it last breakfast through all of my updates. So Knapsker Park, that controversy that was out there about the lease agreement with the park, as you all saw, we kind of put a pause on that. We went back and talked to everyone at the park board, to the developer, the business coming in, myself, city manager, staff, and we all kind of tried to work together to find a compromise that was in the best interest of both the public and wouldn't hurt the business. And the reason that there was an issue, and kind of talked about this Tuesday at the meeting, was ABC liquor license that they had makes you have to define an area that you control if you're doing outside type of drinks. So if you go to Old Town and you see Sabora and all those areas that are fenced off, I think even, what is that? Oh, Chicago has a fence outside of its restaurant. All of those areas are kind of due to liquor laws, so they have to have something defined. We didn't want to see a fence in the park. I was one of those who didn't want to see it, and I know many in the public didn't either. So they came back and decided to put planters out there that are open, so you'll see planters that are probably this high. A planter like when you're going up and down Douglas, you see all the flowers and stuff, so it'll be smaller than that, but there, that will kind of define the area that people can have drinks for that restaurant that's in there. Those seats will be open. Now, during the hours of the restaurant, they want to give those customers priority. But after hours, anybody can sit there, and the restaurant's actually buying all the tables and chairs. So the city of Wichita is not doing that, Parks is not doing that, and the restaurant has agreed to leave those out there for people as long as they don't walk off. So we gotta make sure they don't walk off. There's also gonna be many more movable chairs and tables in the park, but we did approve that agreement. It's a user agreement now, so we're not leasing public property to a private business. It's just a user agreement for that space. They are paying about $1,000 more per year than they have to for that space, just in the spirit of cooperation and working together with the public. And if we do any other types of agreements there, the original lease agreement was for that whole east strip. Right now, it's not, it's just for the part that the restaurant coming in is gonna use. If any other restaurant comes in there or space that provides any beverages like that, it'll be a user agreement, not a lease agreement. And we'll make sure we talk about that in the public so everybody can see and hear from it. So that did get approved. They'll be moving in, starting here pretty soon, and should be open, I believe, by the end of November.
What's the name of it?
Homegrown.
Oh, great.
Oh, coming from out west?
So they'll keep west, they'll keep east, and open a new one downtown.
Okay.
So that'll be a restaurant you all should definitely check out.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
It is, I've been there a couple times.
So what about the actual park?
Park should be done, I think, I have to go look at the date, I think by the end of this month, they're pretty close. If not by the end of this month, I would assume by mid-November, but they're pretty close on everything. Last time I looked, a couple days ago, it looked like the ground was pretty level, so, you know, there's gonna be turf and grass. I don't know when the turf's going in, but that's probably gonna go in first. And then the other area of grass, I have to seed, and probably won't look good until spring, but we'll see. So it should be done pretty soon.
Is there gonna be signage, at that corner for people to recognize what it is, or even what it used to be before the Deputy Park?
You mean like a flag that kind of
Yeah,
shows a picture?
something.
That's a good idea. I'll reach back out to them and see if we can do something like that.
Okay,
I haven't seen it in the plans, but I'll make sure we talk about it.
okay.
Other things in District 1, Monday night at our District Advisory Board, we will be talking about 21st and Oliver again. This time there's 2 applications coming up, so if you have thoughts and opinions, questions that you want to discuss, that will be Monday night here at Atwater, 6 o'clock. And again, 2 applications, one for the actual corner and then another for the home to the west. So kind of like a triangle now.
It's only 11 and 12, so it's the one application together, the 2 on the Oliver side.
Yeah. Yeah. So one application for the Oliver side, one application for the 21st Street side. So if you have thoughts, opinions, want to see, come on out. Monday night, 6 o'clock, we'll be talking about those. Those, I believe, are only 2 cases, but we've had a lot of feedback from the community, so I know we'll get a lot more Monday night. New construction here in District 1, if you look around, I kind of try to give these updates as I think about it. I need to start writing stuff down because a lot happens. But as you can see, the other corner on 21st and Oliver, the student housing, they've already cleared off the third of the building they were talking about. The ground is leveled, and I think they'll be building here pretty soon, so that's going on. There's some new student housing going up on 17th Street. If you go see that, all the wood and stuff, that came up really quick. I didn't think they were gonna move that fast, but it's moving pretty quick. That parking lot's already done and paved and looks good, so that should be up and running here pretty soon. And then downtown, again, Fidelity Bank is building a mixed-use facility. They've already leveled out all of that parking lot they had, something that the council approved some months ago for one piece of land that the city owned in between what they were trying to do. But it will be not only a parking garage, but retail space on the bottom, and they'll have a bridge that goes over to their headquarters. And they're gonna help change our skyline in Wichita, because after that mixed-use facility is done, and I believe it's 4 stories, they're gonna build a 9-story tower for their headquarters. So our skyline will change here in the next couple of years when they get done with that. We're very excited about that project going on. And then there's another development, of course, that you all may have heard of, the 4 buildings downtown, the old State House building and all the buildings adjacent to it, including the area around the Chester Lewis Reflection Park. All of that is being redone now by a developer putting in pretty much all their own money. They're gonna put special assessments to make anybody who rents out for them pay that money back to them, but that's a $25 million investment, I believe, for those 4 buildings. Kansas Health Science Center, Student Center for the students that'll be there, culinary school, and another one I can't remember right now, but that whole block is being redeveloped. That's gonna be great. You can see all the fencing up now, and what we've asked all our developers, we don't require it, but we ask them to help beautify through the construction process. So those fences with the nice pictures around it, instead of just having a fence and seeing a bunch of construction stuff, we've asked them to do that, and they've all willingly done it, and they pay for it, so we appreciate that. But again, it makes the construction process a little more pretty until the project is done. So that's going on. Darryl took all of the thunder from Riverfront Legacy, so I don't have to talk about that. But make sure you engage. Seriously, before I was on council and even now, I always hear about voices not being included. We're trying to make sure we do that, and again, you can help us make sure other voices are heard by getting in there.
I do have the time for that, public open house on the 17th. It's, 5:30 PM to 7 PM at Century 2.
So 5:30 to 7 PM, Century 2 on October 17th for that meeting. Again, that's 5:30 to 7. Let's see, Evergy, we're still talking. There will be a public meeting coming up. We're still trying to hammer down when that's gonna be. Now that we're in October, we're closer to November. I was trying to push us more to October, but I've got a meeting with, or not a meeting, I'll be calling Mr. Beasley again next week to see if we can sit down and finalize that. A notification will go out to everyone along that route. I'll also share that through newsletter, email, Facebook, when that meeting's gonna be. So the community that's concerned about phase 1 and phase 2, I'm sure will be there. Evergy will kind of give some options for the community to choose rather than us choosing. We want to make sure people have input on what the look of those new poles will be. But that meeting is coming up. We still are having that conversation, and I'm sure right after that, we're going to continue talking about what phase 2 looks like. So that is ongoing. And then lastly, just to highlight again, you all met Angela. We are working on opportunity zones. We are having conversations about how we can make those more attractive for investors, both here in Wichita and outside of Wichita. Our conversation on August 15th, when we had our federal partners here and our state partners, was how do we incentivize those areas with the tools that we already have. So our state already has different tax incentives and things that they give for development, as well as the federal government. And the city has a few incentives, not as good as some of those, but the city has some. And through HUD, there's funding that goes into certain areas, and the council has prioritized a few areas that are actually in opportunity zones. So our goal is to figure out how we can put as many incentives in the neighborhoods as possible to actually get that investment. And again, the struggle is a lot of folks with money are definitely concerned about making more money. You know, wrong with that. But it's a struggle sometimes with affordable housing and the things we actually need to make the type of profit that some folks want. So what we're trying to do is make it, as attractive as maybe some $25 million deal downtown that you think is great. Downtown, everybody's gonna be there. We wanna make the impact in the neighborhoods that affect our generations now and to come. So we are working hard on that. And then my last update, which I'm sure I'll get questions about. Northwest Wichita Water Treatment Plant.
Yes.
So a few things, here at a few forums, some, comments about my voting record was made, so I wanna clear that up today. So, just getting started back then, and then I'll talk about what we're doing now, and then answer any questions. So, this process that you all read about in the newspaper, a lot of that I didn't know about at the time, but when it came to our meeting on December 18th, we were, faced with a recommendation that staff made. I believe our staff with the city of Wichita do a great job. They vet everything that they can. Nobody's perfect, but I haven't been disappointed with our staff thus far being on council. They came with a recommendation for Jacobs. And to be honest, I had some concerns about Jacobs anyway because they acquired a company called CH2M, which was already working with the city of Wichita. So with them applying to be one of the design builds, they had all of this information that the competitors wouldn't have had because they were already there. But that was a concern I shared to the city manager before all of this happened. And again, they had to go through a process, but I figured CH2M would have all the information necessary to compete, which they did. But anyway, staff and this committee recommended that 11-0. And for me, if the committee said that, we had a council member on the committee, that was what we were gonna go with. And at that point, I would have voiced concerns had we actually done that, but we didn't. So during that meeting on December 18th, a motion was made to go into a different process, which is changing the goalposts. And I've said this to some of you before, and I think I might have said it at the breakfast, the city gets hit a lot on changing goalposts. And that's not something I wanted to do. And so when that motion was made, I voted against it. Me and Councilmember Claycomb and Councilmember Fry voted against that, but it passed because 4 other council members, or 3 and the mayor, voted for it. So it did pass. We went down this path of a design contest. Some of the arguments for the design contest made sense because it said it could save us money, because you have to actually design out the treatment plants that are approving some big number and letting you blow money if you want to. You could reduce those costs. So it kind of made sense, but again, it was changing the process. But we went through this. Jacobs, as you all know, has said they would not compete in that process because we were changing the process and the goalposts. They were already recommended to win, so they did not. That left us with 1 applicant for a $500 million project, and that was the Wichita Water Partners. That came back for a final vote in February, and during that time, we talked again at the meeting, the design contest. They participated, but Jacobs did not. At that meeting, there was a motion made by Councilmember Fry to go back and award this to Jacobs. At that point, we had kind of known Jacobs had kind of said, you know, forget y'all, left, like they were not in Wichita at that point. And I don't think, to my knowledge, no one had reached out to them. I think that was asked at the council meeting. And so since no one had reached out, and it was kind of just, to me, voting for something that wasn't gonna happen, I voted against that because it didn't make sense to me. And ultimately, with Water Partners, I supported it. It was our only option, and my fear at the time and why I supported it was, if we said no to that and we tried to go down another process, even though it was February, these applications are hundreds of pages that you put into the federal government. We have finally got into what our Public Works Director says is about a 95% chance we get this money. And if we would have changed that, I worried that we would have to jack up rates another 12%. And we were already proposing 9% before we pushed that out 40 years. We reduced it to help pay for this over time and not pay for it up front. So for me, I didn't want to raise your rates 9 to 15%. So I voted to go with Water Partners. Had that not been a fear, I may have voted against that too. But again, I wanted to make sure we didn't raise rates. And where we are now is I'm actually on the steering committee with Councilmember Fry, working with Water Partners to make sure that we deliver the best quality product possible. One thing I was said publicly that really isn't true is we went with low bidder. They just happened to be cheaper. We weren't looking for the cheapest person. We still want to make sure we deliver a quality product because we have one water treatment plant right now that really is too old. We should have had a new one a long time ago, but council has been working on that through the years, trying to find a way to make this happen. And I know they submitted an application, I believe in 2017, that wasn't accepted, so they have been trying to, and now that I'm on, I know that they've been working on that for some time. But we are trying to make sure that we not only keep random costs down, and we've seen some of that in some of our meetings. All the rest of our meetings will be open to the public and the media. We don't have the next one set yet. We did, but it didn't work for someone's schedule. But once that's set, I'll let you all know as well. But those will be open to the public, so you can hear what we're talking about. You can see the product and get any questions answered. What we are looking at with the new facility is making sure it has redundancy. So if a major failure happens right now at our treatment plant, 500,000 people could be impacted. This new plant, we want to make sure that if one part of it goes down, blows up, whatever it is, the rest of the plant still operates and we can still deliver water, and that's what we've been talking about, and that's where we're at right now. So we're making sure that quality water can still be delivered. One other thing that was reported was this, Water Partners was working with Veola, which is in charge of Flint water. That got dropped before we ever had any votes, because the majority of us pushed back on that once we figured out it was those same companies. And we said, well, we don't want that. And the city manager made sure they talked, and Water Partners had dropped anything with them. So there is no connection to that company and Flint Water. And if there was, I definitely would have said something a long time ago about that. But that concern was alleviated some time ago. I don't know why they reached out to that company in the first place, but they did, and it got dropped last year. So that hasn't been a part of this conversation at all. The other piece of that was they were looking at operations with that. We have a competent staff. We have a treatment facility that we probably shouldn't have, and you see it's still working, your water's still running, and it's still clear and clean. So our staff knows how to run a treatment facility, and we're confident that our staff will know how to run a new treatment facility without paying some other company to show us how to do it. And our staff's fully engaged with developing this treatment facility as well. So I have confidence that they're gonna do the right thing. I'm on the committee, so we ask those questions to make sure everything is safe for everyone using our water facility. So with that, questions?
Yes, I just want to make a statement. I really appreciated when I first read it that the people were mostly from Wichita, and I thought it's one of those times when we have a pretty large amount of money that's gonna be spent, that people in Wichita would benefit from it directly. But I still am concerned that that beneficial part of it is shared in a more equitable way, and I don't know if you're still at the point that you can do that, but we need to make sure that if we're gonna use that company, that people who are, they're not your top line people, they would not have bid, but they certainly could be in a position to be part of that process. Now, those questions that you raised, I'm glad to hear your answers to them, but my first response is, at least most of the money will stay within the community.
Yeah, so, yes, that is one benefit of the Water Partners. But Jacobs did say they would do the same thing as well.
Okay.
So we've had probably 2 conversations. I've met with them as well. And we talked about the aspirational goal we set at the council meeting. So I think our aspirational goal could be higher when I give you this number. So I'm not happy with this number, but it is what it is right now. So our aspirational goal as a city is about 7 to 8% minority women-owned business contracting.
Minimum.
I would love to see that. I know.
Okay.
So I did say that at the meeting. I didn't give a percent, but I said we should be a lot higher than that. So they committed to doing so, and we've met and they've talked about, even if they go with these bigger contractors, their hope is that some of the subcontracts will be more women and minority-owned businesses, especially from here. And they went a step further to say they would love to help develop some of those. So if there are individuals who want to get into construction, what we have to look at is for the next decade or so, we've got big projects. I mean, from this water treatment facility, then we've got wastewater. And then whatever happens with the Riverfront Legacy, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for jobs and good paying jobs. So they want to help develop that, help give people who want to get into business, they want to help teach that. We've had that conversation several times.
I'm really kind of trying to process this because when I was in the management, we put together the minority contractor thing, and it was 10%. How did it go from 10 to 8? That's one question, the whole garage. And the other thing is that I've heard about the 17th Street project, there's been some money on improving or doing something with that. And the other thing addresses the opportunity zone. And I'm wondering about on the north side of the street at Roosevelt, on 13, over to Vista, there seems to be some activity going on in there, and I'm just wondering what that is, and is that going to be on the agenda for development? I know I'm throwing a whole bunch of stuff at you, but
13th Street, North Roosevelt to
it's,
Vista.
yeah, that's across from McAdams, I mean, the McDonald Golf Course. On the north side of the street, there's kind of like a, development in there, maybe a barber shop and some other stuff, but that whole stretch there.
That's outside of the opportunity zone. I haven't had anything brought to me about that yet.
Okay.
So I can check that.
Okay, well, just leave.
And then your 17th Street, so yes, 17th Street between Broadway and 135 is happening. So we're gonna redo that entire street. And there's gonna be some artistic elements going in between 135 and basically the frontage of McAdams. So we're gonna redo that street. Some students actually designed elements that are going in there, students from the Overture. So there will be, in the crosswalk, there will be a brick crosswalk, there's a baseball bat, so a student drew that, and we're doing that. There will be an actual baseball that has 42, I think, in the median, students did that, so we're doing that. Then there's another element a student did, I can't remember right now, but we'll build the foundation for a statue of Jackie Robinson that's going in over there, and a shade element, so it's gonna look completely different on the north side of McAdams. That will hopefully be done by, I think, March. So they've already started on the Broadway side.
Well, that sounds great, but I'm just thinking about 17th Street and even, to grow, there's need for something happening in there.
Yeah, I brought that up. So over the next couple of years, we're gonna dramatically increase our funding for streets. We're gonna calm down on Kellogg and then move that into neighborhoods and arterials. So I brought that up actually last week when I said, you know, it was great when I was in high school when we did 17th Street from Hillside to Grove, because going to Northeast, I was dodging potholes all the time. And then I said, I just didn't understand the next phase that only did the sides of 17th Street. The only thing, and I'm trying to figure this out as well, is 17th Street floods quite a bit. So I don't wanna redo the street and not redo the wastewater.
Yeah, but I don't understand that because for the last 10 years or so, 17th has been flooding, it's been dug up, and work's been done.
I don't think major work has been done on that. So for another one, during my campaign, and I'm still here, but now that I know the cost, I get why we're waiting. Over on Bleckley turns into a river. So 17th Street floods, but Bleckley turns into water up this high in the middle of the road. And we finally got the assessment done. That's gonna be a $40 million project to fix that. And that's going in, not only cleaning out what we have, but expanding it greatly because of the amount of water that comes over there. I have a fear that 17th Street would be the same way if we really did it. My goal though is to really do those projects. So we're trying to figure out Bleckley now. And then as I talked about 17th Street and how much more money we're putting into roads, my question to staff is what does that look like? And how do we make sure that it doesn't flood as much? I did find out from an engineer, and I need to invite them back out to breakfast, that our roads were meant to flood to keep the water off of houses. But at the same time, we don't want that to stop cars in the middle of the street. Some people don't turn around like they should. So.
Because we don't need an aqueduct.
Right. Right. So we're working on it. I've asked for real assessments for stuff. I don't wanna just redo the street so it looks good and we feel good about it. I wanna make sure that the water leaves and we're not flooding our neighborhoods as well.
Thank you, appreciate it.
But we are looking into that. You have one more thing.
That was the 17th, opportunity, so. Present, I don't remember, yeah. I didn't write it down.
Oh, minority contracts, you're saying?
Yes, that.
So we are, the last number I saw, we were at 18% of our spending goes to women and minority-owned businesses.
Okay.
We are working on increasing that. I've been working with Dante and Chris Hazlett about that and just trying to figure out what we can do to engage more people. Since our February breakfast, I believe we had a few people here who were interested. They've become certified with the city as vendors. And I think one of them may actually have a city contract, but the goal again is just to get the word out. How do you do business with the city, and increase that? So I've told them more specifically, I don't wanna see 18%, I'd love to see closer to 35. But we have to get there, and there's a few people who wanna do the work, but they're not ready yet, just business-wise. So we recommended they go to the Kansas Small Business Development Center, get some free help on the business plan, put those skills to work. I try to have frank conversations with people, and I start with myself all the time. I'm a doer, and there's a lot of folks who just know they can build the best thing possible, but they don't know how to manage a business. So I try to encourage them to find people to partner with, so maybe that partner manages and they go do the best work possible and they're successful. Because I'd hate to see someone start a business and it fail really quick because the skills are there to do the work, but the skills to run the business are not, and they don't do it right. So we're trying to make sure we empower people the right way, but those numbers should go up. We'll probably have a few public meetings here pretty soon to talk more about it. And I don't know if we'll do it before Christmas, but definitely next year, twice, we'll probably have more how to do business with the city, breakfasts or meetings. We've talked about doing those at Evergreen, and really getting away from just doing it downtown. Not everybody goes downtown, not everybody likes City Hall. There's people with bad memories of City Hall for expensive tickets they paid, so we wanna get out into the community and make sure we reach people where they're at, but we are working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Did you mention you did host that here this year, how to do this
Yep.
in the city?
We did host that here, not only the breakfast, but another meeting in March, well-attended meeting. We just gotta continue to get more people out, and there's a lot of folks who maybe don't feel like they can do the work.
Yeah.
But, just being on the council and looking at these bids every week, and, 100,000 here, 50,000 there, it's work, and it's people that I know can do that type of work. They just need to figure out how to start a business and make it happen.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I was, asking about the scooters that they got here in Wichita. I don't know about, who paid for the scooters to come here, or how did that work? I don't know.
So that's all private business.
Oh, it is.
All we're doing right now is a pilot. We tried to give them some guidelines, and throughout this pilot, we're taking feedback. So folks who, love the scooters, we wanna hear from you. Folks who hate it, we wanna hear from you. Folks who wanna, change a few things. So if you want areas geo-fenced off, which means if a scooter goes in there, it shuts off automatically. If there's areas where you think scooters should go that they're not right now. If you think, and this was one of my suggestions early, but I've just sat back and smiled, but if you think we should find a way to make them put scooters in certain areas so it looks nice,
Yes.
like our bike racks, let us know that. That's something I'll be pushing for anyway, but definitely let us know if you wanna see something like that, just so they're not laying around everywhere, but
On
that's all
private property is the problem, when they leave them in your front yard,
That's,
and they won't roll,
yeah,
and you can't get them off, but put them in the street.
that's definitely something we
There's
should
an
think about.
800 number on each company too, we can call them, and if you email me or email directly to Scott Wade, he's taking all the complaints and concerns and getting them to each appropriate company. So either call us or email us, and we'll get your complaint, because we want them in writing, seriously, either your phone call directly to Scott Wade or to us, and we'll type it up for you, so they can see the collection of concerns or praises, either way you go.
Are they actually being used as, transportation or more recreation?
Both.
Basically, I see a lot of, kids just recreating with them.
I mean, it's
mean,
both. Young
is
people like it. If you're under 18, you shouldn't be on a scooter legally, but, there are people on them. And and some of them have fun, but there's a lot of students and other folks that use them. I've seen people going up and down Hillside from Wichita State down to Douglas, and downtown I see people that maybe look like they're having fun, but they're actually going back and forth to work or to home, so it's a little bit of both. Early on, it was a lot more recreational. Now it's probably more 60-40, 60 recreational, 40 actual use. Any other questions, concerns? Wow. So Camila has some announcements. I will stay in here for a few more minutes if you want. I have to go do a dedication at College Hill in 15 minutes. I told them I might be a few minutes late because of breakfast. So you all can stay here until 11:30. I just have to go do that. Did that for Camila. But do you have any other questions before I head that way? Comments, concerns? I know that there was a lot of heat taken by the city of Wichita here recently, but I just want to assure you, our staff, they do everything to the best of their ability. They operate with honor and integrity, and they do the best they can to serve you all. I've not been let down by staff at all during this process. They've been doing their best and giving us their best recommendations. And our job as a council is to try to either follow that, or if we think there's a better way, ask them to get more research and make that happen. Where we are right now, though, we're trying to make sure that the water treatment facility is gonna be the best that it can be for the city of Wichita.
Just an announcement, if you have any grandkids that are in high school, sophomores or juniors, the PSAT test is October the 16th. That's the National Merit Competition. So if your students have had geometry, because it's on the test, they do well on that test, they take the second test. And we'll pay for all their college, but they have to know to be in the test. National Merit Competition, October 16th. Check with the high school counselor. You got grandkids, you're looking for money for college.
All right, well, with that, just want to remind you all, this is an election year. Exercise your right to vote. November 5th, you have school boards, you have council. Check out the candidates, learn as much as you can, and get out and vote. And make sure you bring 2 or 3 people with you. We need to make sure we are voting more. There's an election every year, and every election is important. One thing I did miss, Senator Moran was here yesterday, and we did a ribbon cutting, which was not a cutting, it was a pulling, because Spirit was showing off their technology there, and there was a robot that came out and actually pulled the ribbon and opened it, and we all wondered if it was gonna do it, because at first it didn't, and then it dropped. But Senator Moran was here. It's always great to have him in the district. He was here twice because we dedicated the Go Create building to Dr. Bardo since he passed, so he spoke at both of those. That was great, and he committed again to helping us out with various issues. Just for your information, I've talked to him and his staff about food desert issues over here. He's already proposed legislation earlier, I think this year or last year, to try to address that. We need other leaders in the Senate to take that up and do more with it. But he's on board. Yesterday when we talked, he committed to that again. So we're gonna keep trying to work on that and find some solutions and things we can do from federal side and city side to bring more grocery store options here to the city, because we have 44, 45 square miles of food desert, so it's a real issue.
One other thing, what's happening at 13th and Grove, where there used to be a dollar store and Dollar Tree? I see people moving around there, and I didn't know if they had something, the city was doing something or whatever.
So we're not, since you are the second person to ask me, I'll go walk over there and ask.
Okay.
Like I did with this Family Dollar deal. So I'll go check that out. See, I don't know, it looks like they're redoing the building, and I don't know what's coming, but.
Could you elaborate on that since it's private property and if it's already zoned, they don't have to tell the city?
Yeah, if it's already zoned for something they wanna do, they don't have to say anything to it, it just happens.
Unless there's a permit involved.
Yeah, exactly, and saying, yeah, we can repeat that.
Permits will, yeah, but outside of that, most of the time, if it's already zoned, folks don't talk to me. And I think it's pretty known now, if it's a Family Dollar, nobody's gonna talk to me because they know what I'm gonna say about it.
Okay.
Well, all right, so I'm gonna head over to College Hill. Thank you all for being here. I know Camila has a few announcements. I'm gonna thank her now before I leave for breakfast and all our volunteers. Camila is amazing and always does a great job.
Thank you.
I'll see you all later.
right, real quick. The census has jobs available, so there's a flyer out there if you wanna grab that, and share this information, so we can have local people on the ground doing the work for our census count for Census 2020. There's a huge initiative for those who are underserved, in poverty, and in low-income areas to truly take the census this year, because federal dollars are funneled where the concern is located. And so if our concern is not on the map, then federal dollars do not come to our city and our different zip codes and areas. So being proactive, I actually worked the 2010 census personally and did the door-to-door surveys, and so that was a part-time job for me, and I enjoyed getting to know people I already knew, and new neighbors. So I just chose to work in the own area I lived in, and so that was a part-time, seasonal job for me. So I give a shout out to that. There's a flyer out there about Urban League, so if you wanna go and learn to improve your computer skills, we talk about those who do and don't have internet or computer skills. There are free classes and workshops available here in the community. Halloween night here in this parking lot, we're hosting Trunk or Treat along with, Elite Ladies, they're a social group here. And so if you would like to donate, volunteer, and when we say donate, it doesn't have to just be candy. Some people give stickers, there's kids with allergies, you have a company, free toothbrushes, anything, socks, gloves for kids. We'll take it all, and give it away, or your organization can actually decorate a car and pass things out also.
Kids love toothbrushes at Halloween.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, my mom buys gloves for everyone, so she's gone, but shout out to my mom for volunteering too. She does gloves and toothbrushes every year, get ready for winter. So that's something that you can think of. Lastly, to keep prescription drugs off our streets and out of hands of those who don't need them. If you have some at home you need to dispose of or know someone that does, these are deterrent bags, and this is a national initiative to get rid of old medication. So if you're not dropping your old medication off at some of the local drop boxes here, you can dispose of them at home on your own. This bag has a tablet in it, like an Alka-Seltzer tablet. It will dissolve the pills for you on the side. You just add the pills, add water, and it dissolves. This bag alone holds 45 pills, can get rid of 45 pills at once. So we have plenty of those. Please take them back to your churches or organizations. I have an entire bag back there. Other than that, any other community announcements, upcoming events you want to share?
The community baby shower.
So the community baby shower is coming up, and that is October 9th? 12th, October 12th. It's in the District 1 newsletter, and the flyers we'll have some more up front. They're actually out, but that event is on the District 1 newsletter for this week. Any other events? All right, thank you for your time and service.